welcome back to the Illini Audible podcast. My name is Saeed Bravo. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the pod. I told you guys we would be back with a Purdue preview, and I am delivering on that promise because today I have with me Gabe Fryling, who is also a student at his respective institution, obviously, covers the Purdue football team, Purdue Boilermakers for the Purdue Exponent. Gabe Fryling, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm happy to be on the show.
I really appreciate you. Just to give the audience a bit of a peel back in the curtain, out of all the social platforms that you guys would guess I would have contacted Gabe with, you will never guess how I did because it was out of all of them, it was LinkedIn. What did you think of that, Gabe?
I mean, I'm not surprised. I mean, I'm a business student too here at Purdue with communications and LinkedIn. So honestly, when I saw it, like I saw a notification, and I was like, "Oh, it's recruiter reaching out to me," and I was like, "Oh no, we're reaching out for an interview." So it was funny, but no, I think you were efficient. I think it's the best way to find somebody. So I was unique, but I thought it was funny.
Well, listen, I think we can effort an interview like setting. We could, if you want, we could make this kind of some recruiting practice. We can make this more of, instead of a Purdue preview. Let's do a why should I hire you type of interview.
I don't know about that. I've done enough interviews already. I need a break from elevator pitches. I can't
All right,
elevator pitch Purdue football right now.
all right. That's totally fine. So why don't we, instead of doing some elevator pitches, instead of doing a bunch of business related things, let's just talk some ball. Let's talk some football. You followed this team for a while. Obviously, you cover the Purdue football team. So I guess to kind of kick things off, I guess uh, just from an outsider's perspective, obviously we know that this is a program that it needs to recover from what was the Ryan Walters era. Obviously, Illinois having a history with that defensive coordinator, later became head coach, had that riveting defense with Illinois a couple years ago, was headlined by Devon Witherspoon and Johnny Newton on that defense, but it propelled them to get that job. What has Barry Odom, the new head coach for Purdue, brought to this program?
He's brought a lot of energy. I think he's been very fan centric, which is the first was one of the big things. He came here like day one, he was calling out to fans, and I think that's one thing he's done that Walters did not. Walters did not connect with the fans as much. Like we've only won 2 games, but both times Barry has gone over to the student section, cheered them up, and I think he's been very good about getting the fans involved, and I think that's brought a lot of energy. Like I mean, last year we won 1 game, so a lot of people coming here. Some people are pessimistic, but still they're also optimistic just to have football and brings some excitement, brings some scoring because there's times last year where we didn't score for I think back-to-back weeks, and like we want to go to a football game, you at least want to see your team score. So I think he's brought a lot of energy, and it's just and so we're in a weird spot right now because Purdue's played two not great teams, like a lower FBS team and an FCS team, and then we've played now two ranked teams. One of them in Notre Dame, who was in a weird spot because they lost. They were 0-2, but they had faced two top 10 teams. Then we played USC, and that game, another they were ranked. Now they're not after you guys beat them. But it's kind of they're in a weird spot right now because there's a lot of unknowns still because we played to a very large scale of teams. We haven't kind of played a team yet that is kind of in our area of like something we can match up with well. And I think there's a lot of new guys. It's still a lot of unknown as we head into week 6 now of college football season. So yeah, but I think there's still a lot of optimism around campus. I think he's still. I think there's like we have a Big Ten season starting off. We got a couple of games coming up here in the next couple of weeks that people are optimistic about. So he's just bringing the energy, and I think that's the big thing the fans are excited about.
Yeah, no question. I think energy is really important in terms of. I mean, we both know that programs like Purdue, programs like Illinois can get excited about football. I mean, at Champagne's seen it with 20 years ago, no one would show up, or not, we don't even have to go 20 years ago. 10 years ago, people barely showed up for any football games. Now, sellouts are becoming more of a quote unquote norm, which is what Brett Bielema is trying to create. But also, I think, I mean, we understand that Purdue is also a program that has that capacity, has the football fan base for people to show up and all of that. I guess my question now is what is it that you and the rest of the media and the rest of fans, I guess, want to see this entire season from Purdue?
I think just to compete. I think last year we didn't compete. Purdue, we were getting whooped 50-0, 60-0, or even like 67. Like, I think the big thing is just to compete and make a good game out of it. Like, so many games last year, the game was over by the end of the first quarter. Like, you could just tell Purdue on paper and on the field was just a tier or two down from opponents. And so far, like this year, even in our two losses, they have competed against Notre Dame. They were in the game at halftime against USC. I've said that they could have. We turned over the ball three times, twice in the red zone. Like that game, we lost 33-17, but like that's a two-score game, and you have three turnovers, two in the red zone. Like that's a winnable game right there. I think even right now with like the two losses, they just want to see Purdue compete. People want to go to a game, they want to see scoring, and just to stay in the game. Like I would rather go to a game and maybe we lose in like late fashion compared to going and it's 66-0 and there's nothing to cheer for. And I think like people are showing out to games. I mean, yeah, we're having sellouts. The student section's filling up. People are going. I think they want to see the product on the field be up to the quality that people are paying for. And I think even if you lose a game but you're in it, that's a lot. I mean, the expectations are low. So I think just going out there and competing and showing that we are Purdue football, even if we're not winning every single game, because the Big Ten is a very deep conference and there's a lot of good teams now, especially adding the teams out west. Just going out there and competing, that's what people like me just want to see.
That's interesting because you mentioned one of the things among the things you mentioned was the two turnovers in the red zone. Illinois made the same mistake against Purdue in this game last weekend, but I guess that's just a side note. It's so interesting because for a long time, and I think I can relate this back to Illinois, but it's the can I feel I can't help but think that the idea of the cannon, all these rivalries, the hat with Illinois and Northwestern, but just for this in this case, the cannon, to have that be at the center of it, right, with between Illinois and Purdue. I guess beyond just the hat, uh, what what does this game specifically mean for, I guess, this Purdue program? Because for Illinois is seeing this as a game that, you have to be locked in. You cannot let loose, and it could be, I guess, I hate using the word, but I'll say it for the sake of this exercise, a trap game. But I guess, how does Purdue kind of view this game?
I think this is just a test of what they're made of. I think you look on paper, yeah, Illinois is the better team. They're a ranked team. They've got better players, but I don't think there'd be anybody I hear on campus that say Purdue can't compete. I think it's just Purdue's in a weird spot because they haven't played a team that's on their same level. We've played two teams that are beyond our level in a way at the time, and then we played two teams that are lower than our level. And I think this week is a good test to show, kind of find out where Purdue football is at for this season, because it's Barry Odom's first year. They're not expecting a top 25 team that's going to go and win 8-9 games. We're hoping for a bowl game. We're hoping just to score some points and just look on paper, because we got a lot of younger guys that came in that can look better next year. So for this game, it's just kind of showing where we're at and showing that we can compete and also just adjust. Like, we had the bye week last week, and taking that bye week and learning from it last year during the bye weeks, like the team didn't look different the week before, the week after. Like, it was just, there was no change. Like Purdue, I think they really only competed in 3 games last year. One of them being the game against you guys last year in that overtime game, which that game came out of nowhere. I like, to this day, I have no clue. Like, that was like all of a sudden our offense was scoring 45 points. Let me go back to scoring 12. I don't know where that came from, but I think this week is just show what the team's made of. Like, if they can go out and they can compete in the Big Ten, because if we go out and we get whooped by Illinois, then it's going to know, okay, this might be like last season. We're only going to have 2-3 wins. But if they go out and say they lose by a touchdown, then they can show, okay, we're playing a good ranked team. We've got Minnesota, we've got Rutgers coming up, Northwestern later in the year. Those are winnable games. So I think this would be a good test for Purdue, just to find out where they're sitting in terms of, are they can compete with the top, or are we going to be kind of in a situation where we can't expect a whole lot anymore?
Yeah, that to me is the biggest thing I think about, because I mean, last season, and you watched it, we watched it, we all saw what went down in Champaign, Illinois, by the skin of their teeth. I guess, I think that's how you say it. That's the phrase. But they barely got out of that game, and they had blown a huge lead, and that to me raises concerns for Illinois, and it makes me feel more optimistic for Purdue, especially given that this year you're facing a pretty similar Illinois team in your place, and not at Memorial Stadium, not at neutral site or whatever. But it is that to me is the most concerning part. I guess what kind of carryover do you think could, if there is, could carry over? What do you think could carry over from that game from last season, if anything at all? Because I mean, just looking at the quarterback, you have this. Purdue has the same quarterback, Ryan Brown, and I guess that's kind of a two-parter. But first, I guess what kind of carryover do you think could exist from what we all saw last season against Illinois?
Yeah, it's kind of tough because Purdue's roster is so much different than last year's. Like I think
Yeah.
we brought in like over 50 new guys. So I think the carryover is not a whole lot just because defensively our defense is totally different. We had almost like no, I think we had one starter, one of our defensive linemen stay, but the rest of that total new guys. And then like in our starting core, and then offensively we have the same quarterback, same running back, but besides that, like what receivers, we lost every single receiver last year besides two guys, and one of them is Armand Branch. He's our wide receiver 2 or 3 right now, but we don't have a wide receiver 1. They've been like all the guys are putting up similar numbers, but carryover wise, not a whole lot. I mean, we got different schemes now, different coordinators, different coach. So I think like looking, you can't really use last year's game to compare this year because also last year's game against Illinois was an outlier. Like that was our highest scoring game since week 1, and we did not score that much, even half as much really for the rest of the season. So I think it's a hard to kind of look at last year and be like, oh, it was worrying. I mean, yeah, like Purdue, I think I was there and I think Purdue was down like 28-7 at halftime. Then they go on and like at the end they recover their own onside kick score. And so that one was an outlier. So I don't know how much carryover there is, but I mean the quarterback situation, it will be interesting because last year in the game, Ryan Brown, I think he threw for like 250 yards. He also rushed for like over 100. In this season, he hasn't really used his legs as much. He's not been like I came into the season, I thought he'd be more of like a dual threat quarterback where it'd be a lot of RPOs, a lot of read options, and they have been doing it, but not as much as I expected. And I feel like now getting in a Big Ten play, like I think they might be worried they don't want him to get roughed up. But you've got to realize he's got to be able to use his legs. And there was a quote from Odom earlier this season. It was week 1 that he was not like thrilled that Brown took a couple of big hits, but Brown told him like I got to get hit. That's how I get into the game. And I think this week, if they want to do it, I think they do kind of have to recreate what they did last year. Is they were two-dimensional. Brown was using his legs a lot. He was beating you guys through the air and then also with his legs. And I think if they want to see success, they got to use his legs more. And I think because he's a good passer. He's made some bad decisions so far this season, but I mean, you're going to find that in a sophomore quarterback who only came into this year with 2 or 3 starts. But I think they got to use his legs more and they got to take the risk and just trust him to get down and slide or go out of bounds. But yeah, I think it'll be last year's game was weird, but I think he can recreate that. He's got the pieces. We've got a solid wide receiver core that has played well so far. We've got the big play factors, we've got the guys. I think it's just they got to trust him to use his legs more. And I think that's what he did last season. That's how he made that comeback and almost won the game. So this week would be interesting to see if they let him use his legs more, if they kind of just what he's done before and he's stayed in the pocket where he's extended plays, but he's not gone up the field as much. So it'll be interesting to see.
What's the point of strength for this team? What should Illinois be worried about coming into Purdue's building and having to face this particular iteration of Purdue? I guess what is the strength of that program right now?
Right
Offensively.
now, our passing game is looking pretty solid.
Yeah.
I think we don't have a set wide receiver 1. We've got a couple guys that are all looking good. We got 3 guys that are over 180 yards, and they're all our distribution of the ball has been very like it's going out to a lot of guys. Every guy's getting pretty much equal amount of targets. One guy might get a little bit more, but like week 1, week 2, I thought Armand Branch should be our number 1 guy because he had like 100 yards and 3 catches week 1. But now these past 2 games, it's Michael Jordan III, which is a great name, but he's the one now that is. I think past 2 games he has like 13. I think it's 11 catches for like. I think he's averaging like 65 yards a game. So I think the ball is going out to a lot of places. We've got a solid tight end that I like a lot. So I think our big thing is that there's no one guy on offense right now that'll beat defenses. Is a lot of guys, which I think can be a pro because then like you can't hone in on one. You can't game plan for one guy. Like they're gonna game plan for Maccabee because Maccabee he's a solid running back, senior leader. He's gonna get 15 plus carries just because he's the guy. But through the passing game, you don't know who's going to be the guy they're going to target more. So that's the big thing because running game wise, we're not putting up a whole lot on the running game. And I think that's one thing that after the bye week, that's definitely going to be a big thing they're going to be hitting on. But I think it's the passing game and just wide distribution. We got a couple of guys coming off the bench, 2 wide receiver wise that are putting up good numbers. That's the big thing is our passing game and how well we're just distributing the ball to all the guys has been. I think that's the big thing to worry about for Illinois.
That's interesting because it feels like right now it's catching on the heels of you're catching Illinois at the heels of a couple injuries and a couple guys just being mixed up, and I think there is potential for there to be fireworks in this game, especially because I keep harping on it because I feel like every time we do see it, I feel like it matters. So I don't know what you think, but I mean, how big is to me playing at someone else's building is huge. I mean, Illinois saw it when they went to Indiana. It was a completely different version of Illinois that we've seen this season, and they got destroyed. I guess what is that dynamic like to see? Yeah, I don't know how many away games Purdue has had throughout this season, but I guess in your eyes, just plainly as someone an observer of Big Ten football, how big is uh is a home and away advantage to you?
I think it's a big thing. I think you come into the Big Ten, like you're gonna have fan participation. That's a big thing. Like this game this weekend, I think it's a sellout. If not, it's gonna be packed. The student section is gonna be loud, and if it's a close game, people will stay more. I think the student section is often clearing out kind of quick. But I think if it's a good game, people will stay. And I think it's just playing on the road. It's gonna be loud. Like Purdue's not known for like having like the Penn State or the LSU or like the Alabama like experience where it's just like you can't hear anything, but it'll be loud. People they do a good job of getting the fans involved, and I think just going into a different environment, it's always tough. I think, I mean, now with the quarterbacks having the play calling in their headset, that helps a lot. But even then, like if it's loud enough in there, yeah, the quarterback knows to play, but it's hard to tell the other guys to play. So I think it'll be loud. Like sort of like if whoever gets ball first, like it's going to be loud in there. And I think just going on the road, no matter where you're at, but especially in the Big Ten, like there's no game on the road is a free game. I think any team can beat any team in the Big Ten just because it's a solid conference. Like, yeah, you've got some of these really good teams, but like going in, like it's not. There's no game you're going in on the road and you're gonna feel like 100% confident just because all these teams have good athletes. You're a power four school now. You're one of the most well known conferences, and so coming in, like yeah, there's no game that you on the road you can write off of like, oh yeah, we don't have to worry about that one.
You give us an overview of what the defense unit is looking like. Obviously, you just came off the heels of a defensive minded head coach, and it like you mentioned, it's a different iterate. It's a totally different version of Purdue, and it's a lot of new players. I guess what kind of optimism does that side of the ball inspire, if it does at all?
I think right now it's just I think a big thing is their defense has not looked amazing. But we've played two good teams, so it's like I don't know if maybe that just the opponents we're playing are better, or if maybe our defense isn't that great. Like we've been getting killed in the running game these past two games. I think between USC and Notre Dame, they rushed for over 300 combined yards, but like Notre Dame has one of the best running back duos in the country. So it's kind of is the opponent really good in that like beyond our level, or is our defense not that great? So I think this week will be another good test because I think you guys got a pretty good two-dimensional offense. I mean, Altmaier in the up passing game is your better side, but you have a rushing attack. You're not just stuck in one way. So this would be a good test of because like defensively, we haven't done the best job of generating pressure on the quarterback. We're not really winning at the line of scrimmage as much as I'd like. And in the passing game, big plays has been killing us. I think the past two games we've given up a 50-yard touchdown. Like Notre Dame, the first play of the game that they got the ball, they scored on like a 65-yard touchdown last week. And even against like Southern Illinois a couple weeks ago, their second drive, they had two 30-yard plays. They stormed down the field. So I think it's just this week would be interesting because they have the bye week. They had some time to extra scouting and just to kind of work on some things. So it'll be interesting because the defense has not looked up to par that what I thought. But I mean, this week's a good test. I mean, we're playing a good offense, so this would be a good way to kind of gauge where our defense is at.
Yeah, to kind of push back on the notion that this could be a trap game for Illinois. It also could be an opportunity. You did mention the running game for Illinois. The thing about that is that the Illinois is more of a passing the ball to set up the run type of team, which it's ironic because in football usually you run the ball to set up the pass. And so it'll be interesting to see how much success, if any, uh, Illinois can have in another building at Purdue. But I guess what do you? I don't like predictions. Like I don't like. I'm not the biggest fan of predictions, but people like them. And I'll oblige. I'll do
Mm-hmm.
predictions. I would like to ask you, I'll exchange you. Well, we can exchange predictions. What is your prediction for this game? It can be we can do scores. We don't have to do scores, but maybe something that you think will happen over the course of this game.
I think it's going to be high scoring. I think, like, look at the score Illinois and USC you guys had last week, like in the mid 30s. I could see something like that again. I think both teams, they're better offensively than defensively right now. And I think I think both teams are going to be offensive heavy. And I think just going on the road, any defense is going to play a little bit worse just because the communication is going to be off. And then Purdue's defense has just not looked as great. And I think both teams have good quarterbacks and they've got a good passing game. And then running game is working on it. So I would say high scoring, which I think that, I mean, I'm not going to say no to a high scoring game. It's more enjoyable to watch. I don't want to watch a 7-6 game of football. So I would see a high scoring game. Both teams have the big play factor. So it'll be interesting. I don't have like a score prediction down in my brain, but I see high scoring, both teams getting a couple touchdowns, moving the ball down the field well. But I'm excited to see what all will happen.
Who do you think wins?
I'm going to give it to Illinois. I just, you guys, if this was coming off your guys' game against Indiana, I would feel totally different. But seeing how you guys, because last week it was a close game, and then the USC tried to make that comeback there, and you guys took through. I don't know, like, if Purdue has enough in the tank to compete for all 4 quarters. I think it'll be close, but they haven't had a game yet this season where it's been close the whole game. So I don't have like a game to look at where it's like, oh, It could be a good one, because I don't know how our fourth quarter offense is when it's a tie game where you're making a 2-minute drill down the field. We just haven't had any of those situations yet. So I don't know in a close game how we stood up. So I'm going to give it to Illinois just because they're the more complete team. And I think it's even on the road in a scenario where it's a close game, I think they will have the upper hand.
That part of it that you talked about is everything to me. That I like to look at sample size. I like to look at reference things historically. When Illinois crapped the bed against Indiana, the next week I did not choose Illinois to win against USC because of that. Because now, to me, it was like, now you have to show it in 2025 what you've shown throughout the past couple of seasons. But now you have to show it in 2025. I think that Illinois will win this game. I don't think it's going to be easy. I like you said, I do think it's going to be high scoring because, like you said, I think the defense in general has been kind of a liability. It's been difficult for that unit to be consistent under Aaron Henry. And then plus you have so many injuries that have happened throughout the course of the season. And I think, I do think Illinois' offense will be able to put up points on the board as opposed to what they did last season last game when they were playing in the state of Indiana, more specifically Bloomington. But I do agree with you. So we're on the same page, man. We're on the same page. But
I'm just looking for good football. So I'm picking a high scoring game.
I mean, it should be fun. This has all the makings to me for a trap game for Illinois, simply because I don't even know if I'm using that phrase or that word correctly in this context, because I just don't feel as confident as I did or as I would be if Illinois even put up slightly more of a fight against Indiana. This is another road game, granted against a significantly lesser team, but it's still a road game, and they always play pretty close against Purdue. So I don't know, man. It should be fun. That's no question. Will you be there?
I will be there. I'll be in the press box. I'm reporting for this game, so I'm excited. Yeah, I'm just looking for a good game. I mean, I'm not one to be upset about a loss if it's close. I think last year I didn't enjoy going to games, reporting, or just as a fan, because I knew we were going to get whooped. Like sitting up there and watching your team get scored on again and again, it's not fun. So I'm excited. Just even if it's a close game, like if we lose, I mean, I'd love to see a win. Campus will be very happy. It's fun to be in campus after a win. But I think, yeah, close game, high scoring. If I will not be upset about that at all.
One thing that I do think is that Purdue just has nothing to lose, man. Like it's only up from here, right? Like, so that's also a part of it. I think part of the equation. But yeah, man. So then I'll see you there. How's the press box food over there? Because that's always an important question.
It's not as good. Your guys' setup is nice. Your guys' setup is 2 or 3 times better than ours. Like when I went out there last year, ours is not that great. I'm not like my parents' tailgate, so I eat there actually before the game because I'm not a big fan of the tailgate food. I mean, of the food of the press box. It's nothing like Illinois. Your guys' setup is very nice. So set your bar low.
Yeah. So here's the thing: the setup might be nice, and I do agree. I think the setup is great. I do think sometimes they do give us some food that is questionable. I think we always get hot dogs, but man, there was one time we did get sliders. They were incredible. That was against Kansas last year. I will never forget those sliders. But most of everything else has been forgettable at best. But hey, it's free food. Can't complain, right?
No, I say I can't say no to free food. So yeah, it'll be exciting. It'll be exciting. I'm excited for this weekend.
All right, man. Well, really appreciate you hopping on, and yeah, I guess I'll see you there, and appreciate you jumping on. And with that, I guess I'll send it over. I'll edit this over, do a little edit, and then it's gonna pop into me talking by myself because I do that on this podcast as well. So
Cool,
appreciate you
cool.
having you on, Gabe. Anything
Yeah,
else you want to share for the program?
nothing. I think I'm happy to be here. I already talk about it, and then I'm looking forward to this weekend. It should be a good one.
All right, man.